each, and there is a recording in progress so that we can put it up on the web and let people who came late or weren't able to come will get a chance to see it. Let's see. I want to introduce our two stars of the evening. One is Chris Duran. Would you raise your hand for a second, Chris? There you go. Everyone. And Ron Mascareñas, who are duking it out for the seat. There will be no opponent in the general election in November. So the individual who wins this primary on June 7th will be your next county commissioner from District 5. Okay, we've given instructions to the two participants, and they each will make an opening statement for 2 minutes. They have up to 2 minutes, and I'll start with you, Chris.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. My name is Cristobal Duran. I am running for Taos County Commission, District 5. As a proven community leader and a combat veteran, I bring worldly experience and understanding the issues that my district needs, such as a diverse economic development plan, which includes branding Taos County as 100% renewable energy and addressing the recycling needs of the district. And I would promote a more aggressive affordable housing agenda, which leveraging a high-speed broadband internet connectivity we have in the area to always address stronger infrastructure and maintenance of roads and healthcare. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. And we just so that everybody knows, we have agreed that I'm to call Mr. Duran Chris and Mr. Mascareñas Ron. And so I'm not being disrespectful to them. That's been agreed upon by all of the parties. 2 minutes, Ron.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ronald J. Mascareñas, born and raised here in the Peñasco area, born in actually in Embudo when the hospital was there. Been involved as a community leader in USA Track and Field throughout the country, hosting big events, been employed with the major corporations, Intel Corporation for over 22 years, as a contractor and as an employee, and as a project manager overseeing the installation of equipment and buildings and infrastructure. Also, now going out and talking to our constituents here, the issues across the county are the roads. I do agree that we have to be more aggressive with affordable housing. That's the definite. Our people can't afford to live here that are born and raised here. We also need to look at the pay for our employees for the county, because how can you afford to buy something when the pay's not there? So we need to look at programs out there and other stuff to see what we need to do to increase our bottom line so that we can do these things, because without money you can't do anything. So we need to figure out where we can go and what we need to do and prioritize everything within the county. There's the veteran cemetery that needs to be addressed and move forward with, and other projects that seem to be on hold. So we need to work on that kind of stuff. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. You're being very good about time so far. So my agenda, and I think our agenda in this forum, is to find out more about you. So please tell us what your work is now, what your employment is now if you're employed, and what other work you've had in the past that might be helpful to your duties as a county commissioner. We'll start with you, Ron, please.
Okay, what work do I do now? I do several things. I have a small ranch, have cattle, horses, that kind of stuff. So agriculture is big to me. Acequias are big to me. I'm my current Acequia Association president for one of the larger acequia associations here in the Peñasco Valley. We have over 220 parciantes and over 2,200 acres of property that we oversee. That's really important when it comes to that. And I think moving into Taos County, that's part of what the county needs to work on and get involved with is using our agriculture also to be able to raise funds and that kind of stuff. The other thing I do is I'm actually the outside plant manager for Kit Carson Internet. And I'm out there resolving issues, working with customers, and I drive around all these county roads, so I know what kind of shape they're in or not in, or the road or the bridges. We had a situation not too long ago where one of the bridges in Upper Red River broke, but it happens not to be a county road. So that's the kind of experience that I'm bringing to this.
Okay, thank you. Chris? Same.
Yes, I currently am the vice chair of Kit Carson Electric. I've sat on the Kit Carson Co-op board for about 18 years. I've been the vice chair for probably about 8 years. Gone out seeking money for the broadband project, for renewable energy project, and affordable renewable broadband for our students. Also, I've worked up in Los Alamos. I started up there as a security, part of the security force, and then went on to work with the technical department, fixing and calibrating things for the national lab. And then I also a retired National Guard member and deployed to Iraq for approximately 2 years. So I bring those values and that insight into running for county commissioner. I do go to Washington and lobby for money, seeking money. And I also am the chairman of the Rodarte Domestic Water Board, finding money for infrastructure improvements for that.
Okay, I'm just taking notes, so when I look away, that's what I'm doing. Let me ask you, Chris, you mentioned the Rodarte Water Board. What other community activities have you devoted some of your time to, your non-working time?
I've also belonged to the Knights of Columbus here in Peñasco, and always supportive of any community projects here in Peñasco, and especially the youth, you know, with the school and all the organizations here in with the school, promoting the youth and education.
What did you do to that end?
Well, I currently have given about 26 scholarships to the graduates of Peñasco. So I fund a scholarship for that, for the kids that graduate from here from Peñasco. And they apply, but the monies go to support the youth for furthering and bettering themselves.
Okay, and Ron, you mentioned track and field. Can you describe that a little more? And are there some other community activities in which you've been active and contributed to the?
The organization of USA Track and Field is a national governing body across the United States for track and field and cross country for our youth 18 and down. I've served in that capacity, different capacities for the last 25 years, from a club coach to a West Zone rep, which encompasses the Western United States, to the vice chair of operations, to the national cross country chair, organizing national events across the US for over 7,000 athletes for track and field and over 3,000 athletes for cross country. I also am a bus driver, certified bus driver with my commercial driver's license, and I've driven for the Peñasco schools in addition to other schools. So I've seen firsthand, you know, the kids, what they do, how they act, what the needs are at the school. That's a little bit on the USA Track and Field and the school bus.
Okay. Well, thank you. So given your work in a ranch, which is pretty intensive, cattle and horses, and your job riding around the county for broadband, how much time do you think is left over for being a county commissioner?
Well, I think it's all about managing your time. I also served on the board for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Farm Service Agencies. Did that for about 6 years. And, you know, everything takes time. You just have to know how to manage the time. Do I do the ranch by myself? No, I have help. I have my family that helps me, and I have a good friend of mine that helps me. We're in partnership together with the ranch, and we do a lot of things together, and we have some things coming up that we're looking at, you know, nonprofits and stuff that we're looking at to try to get some things going here locally. So I think it's about time management, George.
All right. Well, let me ask you a similar question, Chris. What do you know about how much time it really takes to be a commissioner?
Well, I know it takes lots of time. When you run for this, you have to be dedicated. You need to be out there listening to your constituents and attending to their needs. So I'm very dedicated, and I think I've proven that. And being on the Kit Carson Co-op, I mean, look at the strides we've made with renewable energy, bringing broadband to the area. And like Mr. Mascareñas said, it's about time management, but I know you have to be dedicated, and I'm really dedicated, or else I wouldn't have put myself up for this position.
Okay. What was that? Was that me feeding back in somebody's mind? Okay. So this is a little bit more complex question. I'd like both of you to listen to it through, and each of you will get a chance to answer. And I guess I'll start with you, Chris. So whichever one of you is elected, you're going to be one of 3 new members to this commission. And the 2 people who will be remaining are in their first term. That's Darlene Vigil and Anjanette Brush. They're 2 years in. And so you're going to be joining a rather young team, as not young in age, but young in being county commissioners. Have you in the past had occasion to join a team? And how do you imagine integrating yourself into such a group of sort of new people at this job?
Well, my experience in being a combat veteran, it takes teamwork. It takes a team to accomplish anything. And not one individual can make things happen. You got to compromise, you got to listen, and together, collectively, you solve issues and complete the mission at hand. So very much, I think all my life I've been involved in organizations, from a young man in sports to being in the military to working in Los Alamos to currently on the co-op board. I realize it takes a team to accomplish and get anything done.
Do you see yourself as a leader in that team?
I do. I mean, like I said earlier, I've been the vice chairman for about 8 years, and very proud of it. The accomplishments we've been able to do. I mean, the Taos area, the Kit Carson footprint, 100% renewable energy. You don't hear about that in any around the country. 100%. We're going to self-produce our own energy here.
Okay, well, we'll get back to energy in just a couple of questions here. Ron, I want to ask you the same thing about that the 5 commissioners will basically have 4 years of experience as total on a county commission. I mean, nobody's been there 6 years or 8 years. It's all people with fresh, sort of fresh approaches. And I'm curious where you remember being in that kind of a circumstance before. What did you learn doing that, and how do you plan to approach coming into a group of 4 other people with short service up till that point?
Well, I think, I've had several experiences going into organizations where everybody's pretty new. I mean, as I mentioned before, when I went into the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Farm Service Agency, the county committee, same thing there. Everybody that was in that committee was fairly new to the committee. And I think the first thing you have to do is for the people that have been there a year or two, you have to understand and talk to them and listen as to what they're doing, why they're doing, the reasoning behind it first, so you can understand what's going on. Once you understand what's going on, then that's the opportunity to maybe give some feedback or some suggestions. If you think things maybe, need to go a little different direction. And just like everybody else, without a team, without a group of people working together, there's no way you can accomplish anything. And not just you have the county commissioners to accomplish things, but you have all these employees out there that will make things happen that come down from the top. And if you don't have the support or the backing or that entire team working together, there's no way you're going to accomplish anything at all.
Okay, thank you. That's thoughtful. So again to you, and as you can see, we're sort of backing up here one to the other. So it occurred to me that about 40% of the people in the district live along the high road, what we all know as the high road, and about 60% of them live much closer into town. And my question really is, what specific positions that you hold that you feel that will appeal to those 60%, to those people who live closer to town? And how are you going to convince them to vote for you? Ron?
Well, as you mentioned, this district is very uniquely broken up. It encompasses the entire Penasco Valley. This year, because of the last census and the population went down in District 5 and went up in District 3, there's some redistricting that happened. So now you added Pilar. And not only that, you have the Cañon area, the Weimar area, Taos Canyon, Valle Escondido. So it's very different as to what the needs are in Penasco, to what the needs are in Taos, or what the needs are in Valle Escondido or down in Pilar. There's definitely some differences. So that's definitely a challenge. The key, I think, is to listening to all the folks, see what the needs are, prioritize the most needs there, and working on a priority thing as to what needs to be taken care of within the district. And not only that, now you have county priorities that need to be looked at the same time. And as I mentioned, all this takes money. So this is when you get working with everybody to try to work and come out with the best plan and the best solution to move forward with what you need to.
Okay, Chris?
Well, there's a disconnect between the Penasco Valley and the other side of the mountain. The needs on the Penasco Valley are very different than the needs in Taos, the Taos area. Taos has, a lot of it falls into the municipality, but you got to work together with the municipality and listen to your constituents. You get out there and you talk to them, and they're the ones that this office belongs to. It doesn't belong to the commission, it belongs to the people. So by getting out there and talking with your constituents and finding out their needs, and then you develop a plan and you work together with the municipality or tribal government, and you try to accomplish the needs of the people to enhance the quality of life for all.
Okay. Somebody's feeding back on here. Every campaign I've seen where the people have been from the Penasco area and the Penasco Valley, candidates have complained about the sheriff's department and coverage up there by the sheriff's department. Is that still an issue? Or have they been doing a better job? What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I believe it's still an issue. I know the residents of the Penasco Valley have been wanting a substation here, and I understand it comes down to financing, but a lot of people don't have faith in the sheriff's department on this side of the mountain because the time it takes to respond to break-ins or accidents. So I think it's very much an issue. I personally had a vehicle stolen from my house and have been broken in, and I think it needs to be addressed with the funding by the county and sitting down with the sheriff. And I mean, not only with the county, I know currently we have 3 state police living in the area, but they live here. They're not patrolling here. They sign into work and they go off to wherever they're assigned. The presence does help, but yeah, I think there's not a whole lot of faith in the sheriff's department on this side of the mountain. And as I said, there's a disconnect in the district itself because the municipality in Taos has coverage over there, but there's no coverage here.
Okay, thank you. A slightly different question to you, Ron. In the Sheriff's Forum, which was a couple of weeks ago, they talked about, I asked a question about the legalization of marijuana, of cannabis, I guess I should say. And now I just read that Pico is going to have a drive-through. One of the problems the sheriffs thought was that there was going to be more property crime. What do you think about the Pico's plan to have a drive-through? And how do you think that the residents of the area feel about that?
Well, it's always a catch-22 with cannabis, but you know, it has become legalized and we are moving forward. And I think that's another revenue for the state or for the counties to generate funds. As far as the local drive-through here that Pico's is proposing, you know, they've done a lot of stuff in the past that has worked. And I don't see this being any different. I believe that, you know, whatever they've pursued and they've moved forward with, it's always worked. Is there going to be issues? Yeah, I believe so. There's always issues, but there's current issues right now without the legalization of the cannabis. And bottom line is we do need more presence here. I've already talked to both sheriff's candidates as we speak, and I've talked to them both about, hey, you know, what about the Penasco area and what are the plans to get people over here? So the discussions have already started. Not only that, you know, it's also the state police. And the state police have been real good about responding. It's just, you know, they have a bigger piece of the pie to deal with than the county does, even though the county's pretty large. But I think maybe once Cuesta gets their police department back in line, as they're planning to. And it lightens up the load on the sheriff's department. They're going to be able to spend more time over here to be able to assist with those issues that we have in this area.
Okay, so you're already in touch with the sheriff candidates about more
Yes, sir.
cover if there's more property crime?
Yes.
Okay, Chris, just a follow up to you. Are you aware of anybody who has been illegally growing marijuana up in that agricultural part of the county?
No, I'm not aware of anybody that's been, I'm sure there is, but I'm not aware of it.
Okay, just curious, I mean, here we are talking about agriculture, and there's all that nice, rich agricultural land. Just seemed like a natural question. Ron, back to you for a second here. Can you tell me which towns, which areas have community centers in your district? Do you know? And how's the maintenance of them?
Well, the main community center that we have is in Peñasco. There is other communities around us who have community centers. The Llano de San Juan has a community center. Rodarte has a community center. Rio Lucio has a community center. Chamizal is kind of using the fire department as their community center. So there's buildings all the way around, but the Vadito has a community center. On those other ones, other than Peñasco, you have other organizations who are kind of taking care of those buildings and opening up and running them for different events. The Peñasco Community Center is the one that most of the community uses here for larger events. That one has been run over the years by the PACA organization locally. I know now during COVID that everything was shut down. It obviously put a damper on things, and it stopped the money from coming in for that particular organization. My understanding is, the fire department, fire marshal came and it did not pass the inspection. So the county commission, it's now the county's working on it to try to get those items fixed. So hopefully we can get that back up and running again.
Okay. Chris, just to follow up on that, how can, here's all these buildings, they, I assume they're heated and, they're there. How can they be utilized better?
I think there's a lot of maintenance that needs to be done on all of them. I mean, I know there's Vaito, Peñasco, Llano San Juan, Chamizal, but I think a consolidation of efforts. I know in this year's legislation, there was money appropriated for the Peñasco Community Center. And to my understanding, there isn't a contract service agreement between the operators and the county, but it wasn't even the PACA organization that lobbied for that. It was SPOT who lobbied for the money using Peñasco Community Center. So I think there needs to be a consolidation of efforts in communication so that the money isn't gone to one organization and misled the legislators that it's for the community center, and then it never gets distributed to where it was intended. And I think a consolidation where why recreate the wheel when the one in Peñasco is the largest and can accommodate the most. So, and it's very important that all the other ones have theirs for their ASECA meetings and that, but I think the primary one would be focused on is Peñasco.
I have about 12 other questions I want to ask about those buildings, but I won't. Let me go on here. So the Taos County Democratic Party and the State Democratic Party both have platforms, and they expect candidates who run as Democrats to support the full Democratic ticket. Given that, how do you evaluate or assess the governor's handling of the COVID crisis and the steps that she's taken in the belief that it will be protecting New Mexicans? Chris?
Could you repeat the part right before governor? I didn't catch.
Okay, so I said that the Taos County Democratic Party, I'll say the whole thing again, the Taos County Democratic Party and the State Democratic Party, their platforms anticipate and expect that candidates who run as Democrats will fully support the Democratic ticket, will support the candidates up and down the ticket. Given that, how do you evaluate the governor's handling of the COVID crisis and the steps that she's taken in the belief that she's protecting New Mexicans?
Well, you know, the pandemic caught everybody surprised. Nobody was prepared for that. And I believe she handled it in the best way she knew how or was advised to handle it. I know it hurt a lot of small business, but you can't put a price on people's lives, you know, so I'd be supportive of how she handled it. I wish there was a better way of helping out small businesses. And I know the recovery for those small businesses, a lot of businesses have closed, but how do you weigh one person's life over making $1? I know that's a fine line, but I believe she handled it the best way she could.
I'm going to follow up. I'm going to follow up on that. At the sheriff's forum, the sheriff's candidates didn't express the belief that the governor did not have the right to make executive orders to have people be vaccinated or to wear masks or to keep distant or to close their businesses. Were you supportive of that?
When it comes to a human's life, I am supportive of that. You know, I mean, but I also think people have the right to choose. But if I refuse to take it and endangered other people's life, I think that's pretty selfish on my part. But spreading the virus and that. So then if I chose, then I should quarantine and stay away from people. But if I want to be out there in the public, I am supportive of her mandating it for the well-being and the health of the public.
Okay, Ron, do you remember the question?
I believe I remember the question, George.
Go for it.
Okay. As far as the governor handling of the COVID-19, I believe, based on the information, her staff and all the science behind it, I believe she made the best educated guess that she could to do what she needed to do to keep everybody in New Mexico safe. There's certain things we may or may not agree with totally, but, bottom line, it worked for the most part. I think she did the best that she could with what she had. And to be honest with you, I think, the mask mandate went away a little too soon personally, but that's just my opinion. So I think that was question number one.
Well, I'm going to follow up with you.
Okay.
Do you think that in the election in November, that you can endorse the governor in a full-throated way, whether you win this race or you don't? Can you, in a full-throated manner, get behind the governor?
I believe at this point in time I can. I mean, it's like going to be everything else. You don't agree 100% with everything totally, but you agree with the concept, you agree with the direction it's going. And I believe based on that, I could definitely support the governor 100% in November.
That's good. Let me ask you a question about fire. We're in the middle of, we're at the start of wildfire season. And it's really been windy and the fires have been strong. And I understand you had a tragic fire in town. But that wasn't sort of a forest fire. But what do you know about the county's preparedness? What efforts do you know are underway in the county for preparedness? And what do you think is the next things to do to reduce the risk of a catastrophic wildfire?
Well, let me just back up a little to December 15th, to the windstorm that hit Taos County. To be honest with you, I think that caught everybody by surprise and that caught everybody unprepared. I think we all learned a lot from that particular situation. So I think every organization out there, including the county, has started putting procedures in place to be able to respond better to these type of situations, even forest fires. I know all the fire departments out there have been running around. They're prepared. They're trying to, they're trying to recruit new people into the fire department so they can get them trained for wildland fires and everything else. And they're definitely working together. That's one of the things that the county has done across Taos County is all the fire departments are definitely working together. Even though this particular fire in Peñasco was a Peñasco fire, you had Dixon Fire Department here, you had Ojosarco Fire Department here, you had Cuesta Fire Department here. They all came to assist. And that's one thing that the fire departments have been doing moving forward is working with each other. So as long as we continue to do that and continue to fine tune our skills and continue to learn from the past, I think that'll take us into the future to be able to respond to these disasters better.
Okay. Skipping here, Chris, I want to ask this question to you. The governor approved $14.5 million to extend the gas line from Dixon to Peñasco. And everything that I have read about it in the Taos News is very laudatory of it. However, there's some people who think that it's the wrong move, that just at a time when fossil fuels should not be extracted quite so much, that there would be better ways to spend that money to serve Picaris and Peñasco and other communities around there. So I'm asking what your opinion is about that and what other kinds of options do you see instead of that big project and expensive project?
The one thing with that project, I don't understand how the state got around the anti-donation clause to the gas company of New Mexico, but I'm sensitive to the economics of the valley. I think it should have been studied more, but I agree. I think there should be more renewable energy in the area. Like I said, I don't understand how the state can give anti-donation to a private company, and that's taxpayer dollars for them to extend it. But I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of take when they bring the gas line into the area, because it's going to cost families from the main hub to reappliance and tap into that main hub. So I think that money could have been well spent on energy efficiency programs, renewable projects. So it's a catch-22. I see it's needed and it'll be beneficial, but I think it's a little too late, and I think it should have been studied and gone more on the renewable energy aspect of the area.
Okay, I want to give you both an opportunity. I want to give you both an opportunity to talk about renewable housing a little bit. Give me what your thoughts are about it. Is it, I'm sorry, affordable housing. Is it, how do you, I'm not so clear here. How do you see the county accomplishing affordable housing for its workers, the workers, teachers, others whose income is middle range or less? Ron, start with you.
Well, as you know, Senate Bill 143, the New Mexico Housing Trust Fund is for construction and maintenance for houses. But, you know, I think where we lack here in Taos County, we have a lot of rental properties that are housing, affordable housing that people can rent, but we don't really have anything where a family can invest in a property to buy a home long-term that's going to be their lifelong home where they can live and stay there for generations and generations. That's something that needs to be worked on. And that's not going to be an easy task with the materials and the prices that are going on right now. It's almost impossible to build affordable homes. So this is going to have to be a partnership with contractors and maybe suppliers and municipalities along with the county to try to, it's going to have to be a joint effort in order to make this happen, because alone right now, the way we are, it's going to be a very difficult task to make happen. And I think, you know, that's one of the things around here. You know, people ask why can't we keep our youth here? Why can't we keep our folks here? Well, it's because the cost of living here in Taos is extremely high, and they're going to other cities where they can afford to buy houses and make it their long-term home. And we're not providing that here.
Okay, thank you. Chris, you want to say something about affordable housing?
Yeah, I think
You don't have to, but you could.
I think we need to tap the local resources here, work with the developers. I mean, tap our national labs. And I mean, we got Los Alamos right next door in Sandia, and look at more energy efficient housing and smart homes. But I know they're always trying to bring in ideas and test their methods for data. But I think if we collaborate, if the county and municipalities and tribal government get with state legislature and the leaders and our federal legislators, we can get programs with the labs included to create affordable housing in the area.
Okay. I'm sorry, I got a little distracted. When was the last time either one of you were to a county commission meeting? Either one. Go ahead, Ron. You open your
Okay. I haven't been present at them, but I've joined them by Zoom, or I've watched them on Zoom meetings. And for the ones that I can't go, I've been able to, because of the recordings, been able to go back and see, you know, what's being discussed, what the priorities are, and that kind of.
Okay, and Chris?
Technology is good.
I've watched it on Zoom probably about 4 or 5 months ago, but I haven't personally gone to a county commission meeting in a while.
Okay. So Ron, back to you for a second. This can be fairly short. From what you've heard and seen and read, what do you think are the county commission believes are its most pressing needs, its most pressing issues?
Well, you know, I know that there's some money set aside for the bridge down in Pilar that crosses the Rio Grande. Also know there's a focus on the Blueberry Hill Road because that's needed to get around town because of construction and everything else. So I think those are kind of the focuses they're focusing on. You know, there's other stuff I know they're working on. There's, you know, properties that have been given over for, you know, land uses for the public land use. So that's the kind of stuff they're working on, that I know of. I know there's an RFP out there that they requested for the Peñasco Community Center because of the lack of, you know, ownership, or there's no contract between the organization and the county. So that's the kind of stuff they're trying to clean up, a lot of stuff that's out there.
Okay. Chris, I want to do a little different spin, please. From what you know and heard and seen about how the county runs, what do you see as the role of the duties and the role of the county manager?
The duties and the role of the county manager is to carry out the will of, or the direction that the commission and manage the county. I think the commission needs to listen to their constituents and lead the direction in what the constituents, what the people of the county, which direction they want them to go. But the manager is to carry out the direction the commission.
I see. Okay. So they don't have, I mean, the manager, as I see it, as a sort of an everyday role. Am I wrong about that?
Yeah, I mean, he's a liaison between how the county's running. He's the eyes and ears and gives feedback to the commission and back and forth. The direction goes back and forth.
Hey, excuse me. Come on. Come here. Come here.
That puppy had something to say.
I think that's probably happened to many of us, right?
Yep.
We did not invite the rabbit. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish up, Chris.
No, I mean, the county manager is the liaison to make sure the county's running in good economic state and fulfill the mission that the commission gives them the direction, and the direction comes from the people to the commission.
Okay, so I think I get what you're saying. It's the manager's job to do what the commission tells him to do, him or her. Okay.
But he
I
also
think
has to give feedback, because, you know, the commission can't just do whatever they want. He has to give feedback and carry out the mission.
Yeah.
He has to advise the commission too.
Here's a tough one for you though, Chris. This is a tough question. And it's a little hard even for me to ask. But in researching just online, each of you, what pops up in Google is about an incident that involved you at the co-op board, I guess it was. What year was that?
I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
5 years.
I have no,
Right.
I mean, I don't know what year it is.
Okay, what year it is now? It's 2022. So you're going to get asked this from time to time by other people, so I figure I might as well get it out of the way. You were charged with assault and battery or something.
Correction, I wasn't charged with it.
What? Tell us what happened.
Correction, I was not charged with it. Initially, both of us we both were cited, but it was never charged. The court dropped it both. And I did not start it, and I did not assault him. He assaulted me first. He attacked me first, and I defended myself. And I think everybody has a right to defend themselves, but I did not touch him until he assaulted me. He threatened my life 4 times. He stated, and there was 11 witnesses there, that he was going to kill me. Then he came and put his hands on me, ripped my shirt, And then he did 2 jabs to my body with a ripped shirt, and I stopped the assault on me, and that was the end of it.
Okay. Well, I have people I like very much on the county commission, and even future ones who are going to be on the county commission, including liking you as well as Ron.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And I don't want to see anybody. I don't want to see anybody get hurt.
I am not the type of man to go out and pick fights or assault people or anything. But I think everybody has a right to defend their life. I mean, when somebody tells you they're gonna kill you 4 times and they start acting on it and they go for your jugular, they're trying to carry out their threat. It wasn't just a figure of speech. So all I did was stop the threat to him. I did not, I mean, and the man wasn't hospitalized. I stopped the threat towards me. And I don't go around picking fights or bullying on
through with
people.
that. Okay, I'm through with that question. I want to ask about what I want to ask you both this. There's interest in movements away from incarceration for substance abuse. What do you see as the alternatives? What would you be for? What do you think could get funded at the county level rather than putting people in jail? Brown, please.
I really think we need a detox center back in Taos, and I think a lot of people agree with me. Obviously with programs and rehabilitation and all kinds of stuff that goes along with that. Unfortunately, it's not cheap to run a detox center. So that's another situation where we need to work together with the municipality and maybe other organizations that are out there to make this happen, because I think it's really needed. If we're headed in this direction, that's what we need to focus on.
Detox is basically what you're saying, Ron?
Yes.
The detox center? Chris?
I think that the county needs to work with municipalities and tribal and state government, federal government, also for detox and mental health programs. I think you need to educate them. I also think that, there's repeat offenders, but I think there has to be a certain limit. But I think a lot of time education will, in a detox or mental health programs, can solve a lot of those issues. And I think for funding sources, you need to collaborate with municipality and tribal and state and federal government to try to resolve the issue and fund the issue.
Thank you. Whoops, here's me again. Used enough time here. I'm being prompted to ask a question about what you think of the Sipapu expansion. Maybe you'd like to address that just for a moment, one minute each.
No, what expansion, George?
Sipapu, what are they doing?
I ain't aware of, but I would be in favor of them expanding. I mean, they employ local people here in the area, and they bring in people from outside the area, which creates gross receipts. People spend money in the area. So I think the one issue would be how much water they take out of the Rio Pueblo, and how much that expansion what's the impact on the water they're going to be using out of the Rio Pueblo, especially in these drought conditions. But I think it'd be great for the area.
And Ron?
Well, it's interesting. I actually grew up at Sipapu, skiing and working in the mornings to ski free. So I think it's good exercise for the kids and good exercise for everybody out there. I do agree. I mean, being involved with the acequias and everything else, I think, the water situation definitely needs to be looked at. But I think with everybody communicating together, I think everybody can come up with that, equalization there to determine, how much water can be used and set a limit on it, and then make sure there's enough going downstream for the rest of the communities, including, Picuris, Pueblo, Vadito, and those areas, because they need the water for the agriculture aspect of things. And I understand, although a lot of this water is used in the winter and agriculture is not very active in the winter. So, I think it can be worked out. So, I am in favor of Sipapu expanding.
Okay. All right. So now each of you has 2 minutes, starting with Ron. We'll start with you to either further address anything I've asked about or to say whatever you'd like. I suggest that each of you ask for people's votes.
I'd like to humbly ask for your support and vote on June 7th for Election Day, or before that, early voting or absentee ballots. If you need, and you're not a registered voter and you need to get registered, get in contact with myself or the Democratic office, and we can move you forward in that direction. Another issue that we need to look at, I think, and that hasn't been mentioned at this, is the way our current hospital is functioning. A lot of people have concern about the hospital. So I think that needs to be looked at. Right now, we are a critical care facility, which basically means, under critical circumstances, you go there and then you get shipped out. I think a lot of expense, the county's picking up a lot of expense driving back and forth from the hospital to the airport for these patients to get flown out or to get driven by ambulance to other hospitals, whether it's Española, Santa Fe, or Albuquerque. So I think, that whole thing needs to be looked at to make sure that it's beneficial to our community. We have a lot of elderly folks, and, based on what we got going on here, we don't have the best situation for our elderly parents or grandparents or relatives to get care here. So we need to look at that and figure out, what we really need to do with this hospital. Thank you.
And Chris?
Yes, I think one issue that wasn't brought up was economic development. I think Taos County is at a prime state where come this summer, we're going to be 100% renewable, producing our own energy to sustain ourselves going forward. And I think Taos is known worldwide, but we're known for skiing and in that area. But I think we have a prime opportunity to attract economic development with the renewable aspect to create more jobs in the area, and jobs that bring our kids home with a true fiber backbone that we have here, and 100% renewable. I think Taos County could rebrand, and I say that working with municipality and tribal and state government. But I think we're at a crucial point where we could attract a lot of economic development that would be beneficial to Taos County. And on June 7th or early voting, I humbly ask for your support, and thank you all for your time and the interest in being here tonight.
Well, thank you very much. Taos County Democratic Party, thank you for your time and for enduring me. It was very nice of you to do that. So thank you, gentlemen, and good luck to you both. We hope that you'll stick with us, win or lose, and help us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you. I'm just sticking around. There are a couple of questions about asking about the recording, George, so I'm just answering those in the chat, but thanks, everybody. Have a good evening.
Did you stop the recording, Anjanette, please?